A lot of us realize that homeownership provides some massive benefits for investment potential over time. At the same time, we might be looking at the here and now, how we can earn some extra money. This is when we start thinking about VRBO, Airbnb, but there are some things that you should consider. So let's take a closer look at 5 of them to see if that's going to be right for you. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, let's take a closer look at these 5 considerations before you put your house up on Airbnb or VRBO. It's pretty interesting to note that we live in a time that a lot of people are starting to call the gig economy and the sharing economy, meaning that more and more people are looking for ways of sharing resources, from services like Lyft and Uber that are essentially ride-sharing services to Airbnb, which operates like a home-sharing service. This 21st century phenomenon is becoming known as the sharing economy, which was an estimated worth of $15 billion in 2014, and it anticipates a growth to $335 billion by 2025. Something to think about. So let's take a closer look at the considerations you'll want to think about to see if this is right for you. The first thing is Airbnb in your city. Now, there are some cities that are far more amenable to Airbnb than others, and there's some cities that are kind of counteractive to Airbnb. Take Las Vegas, Nevada, for example. We have all these casinos and hotels in Las Vegas, and they don't really take a shine to Airbnb. There are some very, very stringent rules on the Airbnb practice here in Las Vegas. Now, this may not be exactly the same in your own city, like take Portland, Oregon, for example, or Los Angeles, California, where you can have good return on your home using Airbnb. All the same, it's important to note what your market demographics looking like if we're going to be renting out our property. We want to make sure that the demand is there and that we will be in compliance with local laws. And in fact, Homes.com recently completed a study about the best and worst cities in the United States for Airbnb. I'll make that link available to you in the show more description below to check out after our conversation. The second thing that you want to consider is knowing the regulations. Now, you can easily find this on an Airbnb or VRBO by looking up to see what qualifies and becoming familiar with your city. They are very helpful with providing maps for your use to know what the boundary markers are, how far away the properties have to be from one another, and if they're allowed in certain HOA communities or if it's exclusive to non-HOA communities. It's important to know exactly if your house will qualify for these programs, and if so, what are the minimum requirements that you must be able to achieve to put your home on Airbnb or VRBO. The third consideration is knowing your neighbors. And knowing your neighbors, you know what kind of community that you have. And by knowing your neighbors, you also know if there's a lot of on-street parking, will they feel like they're having to compete for on-street parking with short-term rentals? Will they feel less secure with a lot of strangers coming in and out at the different times? It's all very relevant to whether you should Airbnb or not. Consider the fact that if enough of your neighbors got upset, they could petition the city and shut down your Airbnb operation. The best practice here is to simply have a conversation with your neighbors and see if they would be acceptable to them and if they would support you having an Airbnb in their neighborhood. The fourth often overlooked consideration is knowing your insurance coverages. Now, Airbnb and VRBO may offer certain types of basic insurance coverage. At the same time, you'll want to get with your homeowner's insurance policy to ensure that you have the adequate and right coverage for you to be able to Airbnb or VRBO or even short-term rental your property to cover your liabilities and mitigate your potential risk and loss. It's always best to protect yourself and your guests through appropriate coverages. The fifth consideration is how does your house and your plans fit into the sharing economy into the future? It's important to take stock of what you're going to do with that additional revenue and also plan for any additional home maintenance that you may incur as a result of using your home as a short-term rental. This can be an extremely fascinating and an innovative way of doing what's called house hacking. House hacking in its simplest form simply means that you're having somebody else pay your mortgage for you, or at least ways contribute towards your overall amount of your mortgage payment by renting out rooms or your property at large. Think about how this is going to pertain to you and if it's right for you or not. There's a lot of money to be made over the next decade using this practice. It's up to you to decide if it's right for you by knowing your city's rules, by knowing your neighbors, and knowing what your threshold is for using your home as a short-term rental. To better protect you, let's talk about the 10 types of insurance for property investors and landlords, and 6 questions to consider if you're thinking about should you rent or should you sell your house. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.